Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. I thought that today we would do an old-fashioned Q&A Sunday, but I revamped it a little bit. Since we've had so many comments this last week on the videos that I put out, I went ahead and I picked some questions that were specific to prepping and maybe some that were not 100% specific to prepping, but I thought that they were good questions that we could cover and that everyone can get something out of. Okay, so let's start it off. But first, ladies and gentlemen, as I told you a few videos back, that once we hit a 5,000 subscriber milestone, that I would be giving away some silver. And for those of you who are here today on the live chat during the premiere of this video, we will be giving away 2 ounces of silver, okay, to 2 people. Now, I want to make it very simple. So what I'm going to do is, throughout the video, when you see me make a comment in all caps, that means that I am putting out a message for you all to read and respond. More than likely, I am just going to say something like, the first person that picks the correct number from 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 or whatever I decide at that time will win 1 ounce of silver. Now, just in case the same person gets lucky and gets the right number twice, only 1 ounce of silver per person, so that we can spread the wealth a little bit more than to just one person, okay? And so that you know that I am not just picking anyone, what I will do is I will email the number that I've chosen to Hural or to JT, whichever one of them are here. If they're both here, I'll email it to Hural so that he'll have the number ahead of time, and he will let us know who the very first person who came up with that number is. Okay, so it's a very simple way of being able to win 1 ounce of silver. All you have to do is be here during the live chat, and when I ask for a number from 1 to whatever, you guys pick a number, and whoever gets that number first will be the winner. Okay, so good luck, and thank you very much to everyone who has subscribed. Thank you very much to my old-time subscribers who have been here with me since I started uploading videos into YouTube. Thank you guys so much. Truly appreciate the community that we have been able to build together. So I hope that whoever wins will use that silver in good health. Okay, so hopefully you'll never have to use it, but if you ever do, I hope that you'll use it in good health. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go ahead and get started. And the first one, this is from the video that I did, my very latest video, which was the one about the US Treasury stating how the Federal Reserve note has absolutely no backing. And this question here has nothing to do with the Federal Reserve note, but I think it's a great question, and I want to go over it the best that I can, and with the help of the community, maybe we can help Tightwad Christian Outdoors out with his question, his or her question. Okay, so Tightwad Christian Outdoors asks, could you do a video on water storage? See a lot of food, not as much on water. Thanks and love the video. So thank you for the question. I'll call you TCO. All right, thank you for the question, TCO. And as you can see, I replied here that I was going to go over his question on this video that we're doing now during the live chat. So TCO, the best that I can tell you is what I do and what I would do if it was something different than what I do now. Because what I do now some people may not be able to do, okay, depending on where they live, all right, depending on their situation. So currently I have two 500-gallon cisterns that feeds water to my house. So I ended up plumbing my two 500-gallon cisterns into the plumbing that feeds water to my house. So at any one time I have at least 500 gallons. All right, I try to keep them topped off as best as I can, but worst case scenario, I would have at least 500 gallons on hand. Okay, so if you live in an area where you are able to store a big cistern or a big water tank, I know that the biggest water tank I've seen in this area that you can purchase actually at Home Depot is 2,500 gallons, of which I plan on getting one or two when I finish working on my land. All right, so that one of them can be used as a water catchment cistern for water that is draining from my roof, and I'm planning on using that water for like my garden and my livestock when I get some. And then another one I would like to maybe bury so that I can also connect that 2,500 gallon tank to the 1,000 gallons that I've already have in place. Okay, so some other ways that you can store water are 55-gallon drums. All right, you can purchase these brand new. They are food grade and you're able to store water in them. Or you can get on Craigslist and look and see if you can find some at a better price. I know that here where I live, 55-gallon plastic drums are pretty expensive. All right, so I've been lucky to get a few off of Craigslist at a very good price that were actually clean and good for use. Now you can get creative and maybe go to a manufacturing plant of one or several different types of foods. I know that when I used to work in a dairy plant before I joined the military, we used to get 55-gallon drums that were full of like syrup for different juice drinks that we used to make, and we were actually able to take those if we wanted to. All right, so if you have a manufacturing plant of one sort or another in your area, you may be able to ask and see if you can get some of those barrels. Those are really good ways of storing water in bulk. Now there are smaller storage containers. However, the problem that I have with the smaller storage containers, like the 5 gallons or the 3 or 4 gallon cubes that they sell that are stackable, is that they're so expensive and they don't hold that much water. You can actually store water in 5-gallon buckets, all right, as long as you're getting food grade. So all you have to do is use your imagination as far as being able to store water in a safe manner. Now, a lot of people would ask, when I store water, should I add chlorine to it? Well, that depends, okay? If you are storing water from your tap, more than likely that water is already chlorinated, so you shouldn't have to add chlorine to it. Okay, so more than likely, if you're on a utility water supply that comes from the city that you live in, more than likely that water is already treated and chlorinated, so you don't have to add any additional chlorine to it. So if you want to store water for long term, I would recommend that you don't go any more than 1 year without rotating that water out. So for example, let's say you have water in a 55-gallon drum. After 1 year, if you have not used that water, I would recommend that you get rid of that water and refill it with a new fresh supply of water. So let's talk about treating water. So what I've read in the past is that if you have water that's questionable, that you think needs to be treated in order to make it safe to drink, is that you can do a couple of things. One thing is you can put bleach in it, all right, so that the bleach can kill whatever germs and or bacteria are in the water. And the recommended dosage for 1 gallon of water is 8 drops of bleach. So if you can think about the little droplets that you find in like some ear medication or things like that have a little droplet, it would be 8 of those drops of bleach into 1 gallon of water. What you would like to do after that is just let it sit. All right, let it sit for a half hour or so, because that time will allow the actual chlorine that you put in that water to dissipate and evaporate out of the water, so that you don't have to taste such a strong chlorine taste. And it would serve to be able to kill whatever bacteria or germs that are in that water. Okay, I highly recommend that in addition to cleaning your water or disinfecting your water with bleach, that if it's sketchy water, that prior to even adding bleach to it, that you boil it. All right, so what I would do is if I had questionable waters, I would boil it, then I would add a little bit of bleach, okay, whatever amount is necessary for the amount of water that you have. And then after I let it sit for about half an hour or so, I would then put that water through a water filter, a good quality water filter. All right, I think that those 3 steps in a row would pretty much secure that you're going to be drinking safe water. Now, what kinds of water filters would I recommend? So I would only recommend the water filters that I have, that I've used. Okay, so if there are other water filters out there, which I know there are, I cannot talk about those because I haven't used them. So the first thing I do with my water supply is, when it gets pumped through my plumbing, first it goes through a sediment water filter, which is a whole house water filter, a sediment, and then it goes through a carbon water filter. Now that water that goes through those 2 filters is used throughout my house for whatever utilities we have, be it washing clothes, taking a shower. It goes to the toilet, it goes to our sink in the bathroom, and it goes to our sink in the kitchen. Now, in addition to having the whole house water filter, okay, I also have what is called a reverse osmosis system set up in my kitchen, which allows the water that is being pumped through my plumbing to get cleaned to almost a pure state. And what do I mean by a pure state? So the water that comes from the city that I go get, I actually have to go and get my water. I have a tank in the back of my truck. I fill it up at a station, at a water station. Then I bring it home and I place it into my, or I gravity feed it into my cisterns. Okay, so when that water comes from the city, which is city water, or I just have to pay for it, it comes at about 170 parts per million. And what that means is that there's about 170 parts of contaminants in that water per million parts, which is safe to drink. Okay, I've read some charts before that said that as long as your water is below 200 parts per million, that you should be good to drink it. However, I don't trust that because of all of these events that I've seen in the past. Like, for example, the most recent one that I can remember is Flint, Michigan, where the city knew that the residents were drinking water that was laced with lead, and they didn't say anything for a long time until people started getting sick. So I don't trust that, even if it's coming from the city. Okay, so once that water that I get from the city passes through my reverse osmosis system, which is the water that I use to cook and drink with, okay, it comes out at about 9 ppms or less. So it goes from 170 ppms down to about 9. The best water that I've gotten out of my reverse osmosis after putting in a pretty fresh filter is like 3 ppms, which is probably as close to pure water as you're gonna get without having distilled it. Okay, so TCO, I hope that my answer helped you out. However, since I know that we have a great community here, I would be counting on some of our community members that maybe have more experience with this than what I have to go ahead and help you out and see if they can give you some good tips on other ways of storing water and or cleaning water, so that you can develop a plan for yourself. The most important thing that I can say about water is this: I think that people should concentrate more on having a good water filter than actual water, because water takes up so much space and it's so heavy that not everyone can prep a month's supply of water where they live, depending on how many people there are in their family. All right, not everyone is able to do that. However, you can find water almost anywhere. Okay, unless you live in a desert, you can probably find water almost everywhere, no matter what time of the year it is. The question is what is the condition of the water that you're finding? So if you get yourself a really good water filter and then have some backups, for example, I have a Berkey as a backup, and then in addition to that, I also have some Sawyer Minis, which are great water filters, and they are at a very good price. I think right now they're going about $21 for a Sawyer Mini, and they have a lifespan that exceeds 100,000 gallons of filtered water. Okay, because you can back flush those filters, so they'll pretty much last you forever. I think they come with a lifetime warranty on them. Okay, and they're only like $21. And in addition to that, you also have your life straws that you can put in a bug out bag or a get home bag or keep in your vehicle. Okay, so I think it's very important for you to concentrate not only on being able to store water, but also, just as importantly, on being able to clean water so that you can consume it safely. All right, so TCO, I hope that answered your question, and as I said before, hopefully some of the community members will give you some additional tips than what I have just given you. Okay, so thanks for the question, appreciate it. So let's go ahead and go to our second one, which is going to be this one right here, the one where I showed the beef that I canned for my payday prep. And the first one that we're going to go to is David Armstrong. And this isn't really a question, but I wanted to read this because this is a great comment. So David here says, AP, I have canned a bit myself but never meat. After watching your video, I think I will give it a try, but have a couple of questions. Question number one, can I mix ground beef with ground sausage and hot pack them together? I don't see why not, David. I don't see why you couldn't mix ground beef and ground sausage. Actually, that sounds pretty good. You know, that sounds pretty good. And I don't see why you wouldn't be able to pack them together. I have pressure canned sausage as well. I've never pressure canned sausage and ground beef mixed together, but I have pressure canned sausage, and to this date it's still good. I actually opened up a jar of sausage here, not lately, but about a month or so ago. I think maybe a little more than a month ago, I opened up a jar of sausage that I canned several years ago, more than 2 or 3 years ago, and it was still just fine. Okay, so I don't see why you wouldn't be able to mix those together. Okay, he says, David says, I use about 1/4 sausage, 3/4 beef mix. I normally make about 10 pounds at a time and freeze it in 5 separate containers. That makes 5 easy meals for later. Sure, that's a great way for you to be doing it as far as rotating your foods and having meals handy for the time being. However, as I'm sure you understand, that pressure canning it is going to make it shelf stable, so that you don't have to rely on electricity to preserve your food. Okay, let's see. David goes on to say, I watched your video on hot packing ground beef, and I agree with most of what you did. I do put the empty jars in the oven at 200 degrees prior to packing them, primarily to keep them from cracking when filled. I wipe the rims with boiling water from the canner before I put the lids on. Question number 2. I noticed you did not add boiling water to the packed meat in the jar, but when you took them out, they appeared to be full of liquids. Is that just the grease, or did water get in during the canning process? David, that was just the grease. So when I pack ground beef, I like to pack 80-20 because I know that the 20% of fat in there is going to do a couple of things that I like. Okay, so packing the meat with the fat in it, to me, I think that it gives the meat a lot much better taste. All right, when you take it out and cook it with whatever you're going to prepare with, it gives it a lot better taste. Number one. So I guess there's three things, because there's two more things. The second thing is, I like to put the meat in. I like to leave the fat in there because since the fat settles towards the top of the jar, it keeps the top of the meat from being exposed, and it doesn't allow it to dry out. If you've ever packed ground beef before, you would notice that the top gets like crusty and it gets all dried out. And I like that the fat covers it and keeps it from getting dried out. Now, that doesn't have any ill effects on the meat, you know, on the quality of the meat if it dries out a little bit. But I just like the fat up there to keep it from drying out. I think it preserves the texture a little bit better. The third reason I leave the fat in there is for the calories. I figure that if I ever have to use my canned beef because it was some kind of a crisis slash SHTF, that the extra calories of the fat would be important to have. Okay, so, and that's it. So thank you very much for the question, David. That was actually a good question. I think a lot of people may get a lot out of that question. And here, for you ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to check this out, David put out a canning video, so I will be checking this out. I haven't seen it yet, but I will be checking it out. All right, thank you for that, David. All right. Oh, sweet. And David says, I'm going to subscribe and set a reminder for your Sunday chat. So hope to see you there. I hope that you're here right now, David. All right, so welcome. Thank you for subscribing. Okay, the next one that I wanted to go over was Tiny Acres has a great comment. Tiny Acres says, when 93% lean goes on sale, so Tiny Acres is talking about the 93% 7 ground beef goes on sale, I pick up a few pounds, brown it, dehydrate it, and store it in the freezer. It takes up very little room and reconstitutes easily in a little bit of broth. I just think that's a great idea. If you guys have a dehydrator and you do this, I think it's a great idea, and it does to me seem that it would save a lot of room, especially with that dehydrator sucking all the moisture out of the meat. So one thing that I would like to try is doing this, what Tiny Acres is saying about dehydrating the ground beef, and then putting all of that dehydrated ground beef into a jar and then canning it or pressurizing it, you know, just like you do your regular meat. So it'll become shelf stable, and you should be able to fit a lot more protein in that jar than you would if you hot pack it like I did in the previous videos. So that's a great little hint right there. Maybe one day I'll try that. However, I don't have a dehydrator, so I actually gave mine away to a buddy of mine a few years ago because I just didn't use it. So yeah, good hint. Thank you, Tiny Acres. Now, when I was going through this video, I saw a lot of comments that talked about, wow, you're so lucky that you get to find some good deals. So I just wanted to tell you how I came along that great deal, because $1.50 for a pound of ground beef is an awesome deal. So what happened is this: I was at the commissary, okay, and at the commissary there are some things that are a good deal, right? Better than the outside stores. But there's also a lot of things that are just as expensive, if not more expensive, right? But their ground beef at the commissary is usually around $3.59, $3.99 a pound, okay, which is the going rate around here. So I was walking by the meat section because I was looking for chicken wings, because we were going to cook chicken wings for dinner that night. And the butcher was standing outside next to the meats, and he just asked me, he's like, "Hey sir, would you like to buy some ground beef? It's on sale for $1.50. And I'm like, $1.50? And the first thing I did was say, "What's wrong with it?" I figured it was like expired or just about to expire, something like that. Well, what happened is that they ordered so much that they knew that they were not going to be able to sell everything that they ordered in time before the meat did expire. So they ended up putting it on sale immediately. So it was fresh ground beef, very good quality. It was 80-20, right? But I do like the 80-20 better for the reasons that I mentioned. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. So I ended up buying about 35 pounds. And it just hit me that when I showed you guys the ground beef that I had canned in my last payday prep video, I actually didn't have 6 other jars that I had canned. They were actually sitting behind me as I was filming the video. So in addition to what you guys saw there, I had 6 other 1.5 pint jars that I had canned that had already been processed. So yeah, it was a great score. Looking back, like always, I wish I would have backed up the truck and bought even more. But I did get a great deal, and like I said before, ladies and gentlemen, and in the past I've said that, you know, when you see a good deal, even if you didn't go shopping for that specific item, if it's too good of a deal to pass by, then if you were going to get something else that you really didn't need, that you were going to prep with, go ahead and jump on the good deal. Because whatever else you were going to be looking for will more than likely be there the following week. So yeah, I'm really glad that I jumped on that deal and got as much as I did. Looking back now, I wish I would have gotten more. Okay, so let's see. Our last comment for this video is Jan Penland. And Jan says, "I love my silver eagles. I wish I could afford the gold, but oh well. And you are not old." "I don't consider myself old yet, and I am retired, collecting Social Security. Much love." Thank you, Jan. Okay, so why am I commenting on this here comment from Jan Penland? And she says here, "I wish I could afford the gold, but oh well." So ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what I think about gold and silver. Honestly, I think that gold, during a crisis, all right, if you look at history, during a crisis, gold usually goes up first, all right, will usually go up first, and then silver will follow, okay? So the reason I purchase gold is because I like to have a hedge on a hedge. So what I mean by that is that I think that silver will outperform gold on a percentage basis. I don't mean that it will outperform gold, that it will become more valuable than gold. I think that in the future, if technology keeps acting the way it does, which what I mean by that is that silver is really needed in all of these new technologies that we develop, all right? And silver only comes out of the ground at about a ratio of 9 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold. So just by that natural ratio, you know that right now, silver being at a 82-to-1 ratio with gold, silver is extremely undervalued, okay? But what I mean by hedging my hedge is that I think silver will outperform gold whenever, you know, a monetary reset and or if a crisis occurs, silver will outperform gold. So why don't I just buy silver? Because I like to hedge my hedge, right? Silver is my hedge against the dollar, but gold is my hedge against silver, okay? So I like to be covered in as many places as I can, all right? So it's like a backup to a backup to a backup, okay? What's my backup to the dollar failing? My backup is food, right? It's all the things that I need to live on a regular basis, okay? What's my backup to preserving my wealth? Silver and then gold, okay? But mainly silver, because I think that silver will end up outperforming gold. So if you all have everything you need as far as the things that you need to sustain the way that you live on an everyday basis, should the stores close, then you may want to think about getting a little bit of silver, and if you can afford it, a little bit of gold, so that you can bring that wealth forward with you into the new paradigm. All right, so thank you very much for the comment, Jan. Let's see. Our next one all right, and guess what? Our next one is right here. Let's talk about prepping. So let's talk about prepping. This is the video that was titled "Gold is a Barbarous Relic." All right, and then I asked, why do central banks hoard it or buy it or hold it? Okay, and let's talk about prepping here. Has a great comment. I think silver and even gold is very good for during SHTF and pretty much any time. There aren't many other things that you can keep in your pocket which can carry so much weight in various situations. And what he means by so much weight, I'm pretty sure he means so much wealth, right? Aside from a gun, right? Not everyone is going to be starving and needing bullets all the time or want what you have. So what I think, let's talk about prepping, is saying is that I've stated in the past that precious metals, at least from my perspective, are not necessarily for using during an SHTF, all right, or a crisis, all right, but that they are a vehicle that will carry forward your wealth after the dust settles, after an SHTF, right? So after something happens that's some kind of a crisis, let's say it's an economic crisis and people lost 90% of their wealth because they had it in paper, the gold and the silver is going to allow you to carry forward your wealth without any counterparty risk, okay? Because if you hold it, you own it. And during times of economic crisis and even other crises, all right, that are worse than just economic crisis, gold and silver throughout history have always maintained their purchasing power, right? So that is why I like to hold some precious metals, so that if a crisis does happen, I have insurance that will ensure that my wealth is carried over into the new paradigm, whichever it may be. Okay, it's like, for example, in Zimbabwe, all right, back I think more than 10 years ago now, Zimbabwe had an economic collapse where their fiat currency notes went to zero. So I saw a documentary a couple of years ago on that, and it showed that people would spend all day digging just to try to get like 1/10 of a gram of gold, so that they can afford to go and buy enough grains with that 1/10 of a gram of gold to feed their families for one day. So they would spend all day digging to get 1/10 of a gram of gold, which in reality is probably around $5 or so, okay, worth of gold. Because that's what the shop owners or the shopkeepers were taking as currency, was just gold or silver. They wouldn't take anything else because their paper was worthless. All right, so looking at that, it may be helpful to have precious metals during an SHTF if you don't have the items that you need to sustain yourself. So that's why I've always recommended that first you should have the first 3 B's of prepping: beans, i.e. food, water, shelter, anything that's going to take care of your biological needs. All right, because you need food in order to stay alive, you need water in order to stay alive, you need shelter in order to stay alive. The second B is band-aids, i.e. any medications that you may need in order to live, any over-the-counter medications, any hygiene items, all right, toilet paper, things like that. And the third B, I would say, is bullets, and that stands for self-defense. And why do I advocate to having a way to defend yourself. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you spend all your efforts and money in prepping the first 2 B's of prepping, then why would you want to make it easier for the biggest thug on the block to come and take it from you? All right? It's not because you want to go on an offensive with your self-defense. It's because you want to have it for defensive measures. Okay? So, and here Salobrena has a good reply to Let's Talk About Prepping, and she says, it may be, meaning that it may be good for during SHTF, but it's on the other side of SHTF when it will be really valuable. So hang on to it as long as possible. And that's what I've always thought and said in my videos, is that to me, precious metals is a way of transferring your wealth from one paradigm to another. So if there's an SHTF tomorrow, I'm not going to go out and try to trade my gold or my silver. I'm going to hold on to it because I've got preps that I've already got in place in case something happens. So if something does happen, I'm going to use my preps. Now, if for some reason there is a prep that I really need that I don't have because I forgot to get or I just put it off, and I do have some precious metals and I know someone that has that prep, I may try to barter with them for that, you know, during an SHTF, during a crisis. So it's always good to have some. And what I've always said, maybe not in this channel, but what I've always said about precious metals is hold on to them and you will know when you need to use them. You will know. If you have silver stacked away, hold on to it. And if you ever need to use that silver, you're going to know when you need to use it. A situation will arise where you're like, well, the only way that I can get this is by using my silver, so I'm going to have to go and get into my silver. Let me give you a good example. I still do not have a wood stove, all right? That's on my list, all right? And hopefully I can get that this year. So I still don't have a wood stove. So let's say that tomorrow there were a crisis and that I didn't have a way to heat my home, and I knew that I wasn't going to have enough fuel to last the winter, and that I had to find a way to heat my home before my fuel ran out. Well, if I found out that my neighbor has a stove that he's not using, I may offer to barter with him for that stove, and he may take gold or silver for it. Okay, so that's a way of being able to use your precious metals during an SHTF. All right, but I always say, I'm going to say this again because I think it's important that people understand this. I think that you should first have your first 3 B's of prepping before you get your 4th B, which is bullion, which stands for precious metals. All right, so I think you should first have your first 3 B's of prepping. All right, because it's true what they say, you cannot eat silver, you cannot eat gold. That's why the first B of prepping is the most important as far as I'm concerned, because it's what's going to keep you alive. All right, having your gold and silver, yes, you may be able to trade it for food, all right, but you may not be able to trade it for food depending on how critical the crisis is. All right, so thanks a lot. Let's talk about prepping. Thank you for that. Let's see our next one. Okay, and this right here, this was from Old Man, and this falls in line with what I was just talking about. Old Man here says, I can't afford silver or gold right now, need food and water and a few other things right now. And there you go. So Old Man is actually saying what I just said. It's more important for Old Man to get food and water and the other things that he or she that he may need, all right, before he takes and puts some of his fiat into gold or silver, because Old Man can see that these things like food and water and whatever other things is that he's talking about, that for him to be able to survive, to live through a crisis, that he needs to eat, that he needs to drink, and that is more important than having the precious metals. Okay, so if you have the means to be able to have your first 3 B's of prepping, and then you have extra, then yes, go ahead and buy yourself some precious metals. I think it's a great way of preserving your wealth. All right, I think we beat that one to death right there. We beat that horse down, didn't we? Okay, so hey, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to let you know I've had a few community members comment asking if I have a PO box, which I do not yet. I was trying to get one this Friday, but things just got too busy. I got out of work a little later than I wanted to. All right, so I will be getting one this week. I do believe that Mrs. Alaska Prepper is going to go here, I think on Monday, and get a PO box. And as soon as I do, I will post my PO box address in the description of my videos. And I'm not asking that anyone send me anything. By no means does anyone have to send me a thing, okay? But if I had a request to make for any of you that would like to send something, it would be awesome if you sent like a postcard of the state that you live in. I think that would be awesome, because what I will do is if you've been listening the last few videos, I mentioned something about building a prepper room on one of the wings of my house, and it would be so great if I got postcards from community members that I can hang up on my wall. And when I video record in that room, you guys can all see the postcards there from all over the country, and hopefully from other parts of the world as well. So I will be getting a PO box next week sometime, so I will make sure that once I get it, that I start including it into the description of my videos. Okay, so watch for that. That's coming up. All right, and for those of you that have asked, thank you for asking. And I know that I've been putting it off for a little bit now, but we definitely need to get a post office box here, because we have a problem with I'm gonna call them vandals. People vandalizing our mailboxes, because our mailboxes are out by the road, and a lot of people, well, I don't know if it's a lot of people, but definitely some people steal mail from the mailboxes, and ours just happens to have a key on it and a lock on it, and we've noticed that someone's been trying to pick it unsuccessfully, thankfully, but yeah, we have a problem with that around here. All right, I'm gonna call them like JSnip4 calls them, jabronis. All right, so as soon as I do get that, ladies and gentlemen, I will post it and let you all know. Okay, so our next one here is from Maida. Maida says, I think a lot of people are scared of buying gold and silver because they don't understand how they will use it after the emergencies pass. And a lot of people also don't know how much it's worth per ounce, so they don't want to overpay, or they might not have a good place to buy it from. Another scary thing is also fake gold and silver. People do try to scam you when they see that the person doesn't have experience. Just a thought. And she says, have a wonderful day. Thank you, Maida. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a good day yourself. So this is a common problem here, all right? People are afraid of buying gold and silver because they may not be experienced with gold and silver and may be afraid of getting scammed. And also because they wonder, what are they going to use the gold and silver for, or how are they going to trade it in or cash it in or anything like that once the emergency is over. So the reason I so highly advocate that if you purchase gold and silver, that you do it from a local coin shop where you can build a relationship with the owner. And I'll give you an example from myself, what I personally do. 100% of whatever I buy from a local coin shop. There are several here around where I live. There's, I think, 3 or 4 that I know of, okay? I used to go to 2 different ones, and now I only go to 1, all right? Main reason I started going to the other one, the one that I go to now, is because they charge a much lower premium on their coins than the other one that I used to go to. Okay, and I've been going to this one here now probably for about the last 2 or 3 years, and I've gotten to know the owners. All right, well, the owner and then his assistant that works for him. I've gotten to know them. I stop in there, you know, maybe once a month I'll stop in if it's to get 2 or 3 ounces of silver, or maybe I'll get 1/10 of an ounce of gold. I'll stop in and I'll chit chat with them, talk to them. And I've even sold some back to them just to see how they treated me as far as buying from me, okay? And they were very honest, very fair, all right? And they never try to price gouge me. Actually, since I go there so often, they actually give me good deals. Just like the deal that I got on those 2.5 ounce silver eagles that I got for the same price as if I were buying a full ounce, which is a great deal, all right? So I have a relationship with this gentleman and his assistant, okay? And they take care of me, and by them doing that, they know that I will come back and do business with them. Now, I've tested them several times, and it's no longer a test because they have no problem doing it. But I know that when I first started going there, I asked them, how do I know that this is real silver? And the first thing they did, as soon as I asked that, they were like, well, here, check this out. They showed me a couple of ways that they test coins or bars or gold or silver when they come in for them to buy it, because they want to make sure they're buying something that's real and not fake, all right? So they have a couple of different ways to test. Actually, there's like 3 different ways to test to see if what you're selling them is real. And I asked them to test the silver and the gold that I purchased from them in front of me, and they did it with no problem. They have a machine that they put the precious metals on, and that machine will give you with accuracy exactly what percentage of each metal is in that coin. And for those of you that don't know, what is it? A gold eagle, all right? A gold eagle is, I believe, is 92.67% gold. It's 5% silver, and it's 2.33% copper. I believe that's the makeup of a gold eagle, okay? And that machine picks it up exactly like that, okay? And same thing with silver. It'll tell you what percentage of silver in there, what the purity of the silver is, and if there's any other metals in there. So make sure you build a relationship with your coin shop, okay? And that's the way that you can trust them, right? You have to be able to trust someone. If you don't have a coin shop near you, which is my case when I first started purchasing precious metals, I didn't have a coin shop near me. So what I did was I ordered online. I ordered like 1 or 2 coins online, and at the same time I ordered a silver and gold testing kit. All right, it comes with a few little bottles of solvent and a small grinding stone that you use to get a very small sample of your silver or gold onto that stone. And then using that kit, I tested the metals myself to make sure that they were real. And then once I realized that the company that I was doing business with, you know, is a reputable company, they done me right, they send me good product, I purchased a little bit more from them. But I always advocate that you purchase locally from a coin shop so that you can build that relationship, okay? And then might I also ask that people won't understand how they would use it after an emergency. Well, it's the same thing as the same way that you would use it now, Maida. So if you have an SHTF and the dust has settled and there is an economy again, all right, and there is an economy as far as people are trading, you know, there's a currency that's being circulated. Gold and silver is recognized throughout the entire world as being money. We are one of the few countries that have been indoctrinated to think that gold and silver are not money, when in fact they are real money, okay, not the fiat currencies that we have. I'm sure that in the event that we do have a major crisis, that on the other side of that crisis, there are still going to be people that know what gold and silver is and what kind of value they hold. So I don't think there is a downfall at all as far as owning precious metals. The only downfall that I would say there is, if I had to say there was one, is being able to store them, all right, and being able to keep them in a safe place. And what I say to that is to use your imagination as to where you want to hide them, all right? I don't recommend that you keep them in your house where they can be easily found, all right? There's actually a whole bunch of videos out there that give you hints on or give you give you advice on where you can hide your precious metals, but use your imagination. Put them somewhere where you would never look for them yourself, okay? And then take it from there, okay? Don't just keep it all in one place. All right, I'm not going to tell you where you should keep it, but use your imagination. All right, thank you, Maida, for that I guess question or comment, more than a question, but thank you for that. All right, our next one. Okay, here's a question from Buzz. It doesn't really have anything to do with this video, but I think it's a good question, and I may just read off my reply. So Buzz asked, I like your take on the yellow vest movement in France. I'm starting to see it happening in Canada, not so much in the US. It appears to me that there is more and more people getting fed up with government's disdain for the working man's and woman's and banking system, etc., including the institutionalized poverty. So, and I'm not going to read my reply to Buzz, but pretty much what I reply to Buzz is that a citizenry is only going to take as much as a citizenry is willing to take. And the collective is a lot stronger than the one, meaning that once a citizenry as a whole, or as a large part of the citizenry, gets fed up with what government is and what government does, the government has no chance. So what will happen is like you've been seeing, these protests go on, the government doesn't care, they let them protest. Famous words, they can protest all they want as long as they pay their taxes. But the protests become larger and larger and larger and more mainstream. Then the government goes to step number 2. They bring out the thugs, all right? And they start using tear gas, they start using water cannons, all right? And when the people keep coming, even after all of those abuses, the government is eventually going to start using lethal force. But what the government doesn't know is that by them using lethal force, all they're doing is empowering the people even more to come in more masses and to come in more masses. What people in generally don't understand is that we together are a lot stronger than any government can be. But we have been indoctrinated to be against each other. The government's done a great job at putting us against each other, at dividing us, all right? They've read the books, all right? They've read The Art of War, all right? Where it says that the best way to beat your enemy is to know your enemy, and also that if your enemy is divided, it's going to be a lot easier for you to win. So they've done a very good job in dividing us and keeping us divided. So I wish the people of France and all, actually everyone, every country, I wish us all the best of luck, because we are at a uphill battle. I think that this time in history, 50 years from now, people will be looking back at this decade in history. They will be looking back at what it was that started the worldwide revolution for people wanting to be free and for countries wanting to have their sovereignty. All right? So that's all I really have to say about that. I wish them luck, and I hope that none of those guys over there that are protesting, that they don't get hurt or killed or anything like that. But it may happen. You know, some people may end up, you know, I don't know, some people may end up getting killed in that kind of stuff. Let's see. I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is the video that I did about if you're receiving EBT or SNAP benefits. I want to be straight with you guys. I did not put that title on there. As you can see, I left the title on there because it's, you know, I really meant what I said. I said if you are receiving EBT and SNAP benefits, please see this video, or please watch this video, because I truly did want to help someone. I wanted to help people you know, to understand that they can cook a meal for a very small price, and that meal be nutritious and they can feed their children. Okay, that was my intent. And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I got a lot of really bad comments on this one. But you know what? I got about 20 times more good comments than I did bad comments. So I want to thank all of you that had a positive outlook from this video. Alright, so thank you very much. Let's see, I think, I don't know if it's this video that I had so many comments. I don't think it's this video, but we're gonna check it though, because I actually went, ladies and gentlemen, before I forget, I want to tell you something. If I put a heart, like look at my little arrow, if I put a heart and a thumbs up on your video, it's because I read it. Okay, it's because I read the I mean on your comment, not on your video. It's because I read your comment. Okay, so you'll see that there's some threads of people talking back and forth where I didn't put on, like right here, like you see right here, I didn't put a heart or a reply on it. It's because I haven't read it yet. All right, and a lot of times when it's an older video like this, I won't get a notification that someone replied to my reply or my comment. Okay, and this person here, he's just Penny, 2 cups of tomato powder, 5 cups of water does not equal 10 gallons, but I do appreciate the video. I guess they're hung up on the math. All right, that's fine. You know, I never said I was the smartest person in the world, but if you want to argue about how many cups of water or how many gallons of spaghetti sauce that Augason Farm makes, then buy one and try it and you'll see exactly how many. I personally think that 1 can of tomato sauce will make 10 gallons of spaghetti sauce. Okay, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. That's just what I think. All right, I haven't used the whole can, but the sauce that I made, that you guys saw me make with the 2 cups of tomato powder, it probably was about 1.5 gallons, if not a little bit more. All right, if you actually measured it. But I'm not going to sit there and measure exactly how many gallons of tomatoes of spaghetti sauce. Some people get hung up on the weirdest things, but that's okay. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes, wow, we had a lot of comments on this one. Hey, thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen, for all of your support, especially this video. I got attacked a few times on this video, which is fine. That's fine. It's there's some really dark. Some people are in a dark place out in this world. Some people in this world are just in a dark place and they don't want to get out of it. So I think that this is not the video I was thinking about. So it's not. So let's go back up real quick. Let's go to this next one. I think this might be it. Okay, let's go and take a look. This might be it right here. Yes, it is. Here we go. And it's My Maria. Why do you put Dawn soap on the outside of the pot? Okay, this was the video where I showed off the Ezzy rocket stove. And I believe that the first time that I reviewed that stove at 0 degrees, someone left a comment, and I don't remember for sure, but I think it was Salobrena that said that if I put Dawn soap on the outside of the pot before I put it over the fire, that when I went to wash the pot, all of the soot will come out really easy, and it worked really well, by the way. All right, I did this the last time, and when I came in the house and washed that pot, everything came out really easy. So that's why, My Maria, because it helps the soot come out really easy. So let's see. My any so rubbed the outside will. Yep, and Eddie here answered her question. So there you go. And I think, let's see, I think we have one here by Charles Barker, and he replied to Donna. Oh, here, right here. Okay. So Charles Barker actually asked me a question off of someone else's comment, and Charles says, AP, in an SHTF situation, the best way to cook beans is in a small pressure cooker. A few minutes at full pressure at 10 pounds is equal to hours on a stovetop. And this isn't really a question, it's a statement, but this is a great little piece of advice, because Charles is correct. Charles Baker is correct. When I was growing up, I remember my mom cooking beans in a small pressure cooker that wasn't really used, it's not really used for canning jars, right, for putting jars in there, but it's used just for cooking. And I remember that she would cook her beans in a small pressure cooker, and now I know why, because it cooks it in such a quick way. And also, one of the benefits of doing this is that you use a lot less fuel to cook that way. So thank you very much for this comment, Charles, because this is a great comment, or a great way of saving fuel and also saving time when you're cooking your beans. Now, it may take a little bit of practice to get it just right, but I think it would be well worth it. So thanks for that, Charles. I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out, because that's a great comment. And ladies and gentlemen, I think we're getting to the last one. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Hurrah. Okay, Hurrah here. He was commenting on a video where I was talking about an upcoming premiere. And Hood here says, hello AP, why do I have a feeling this will be a long one? LOL, but I'll be there. And the reason that I'm reading this comment is because Hood was commenting thinking that the premiere that I put up, which actually ended up being like an hour and 2 minutes long, he was wondering how long that premiere was going to be, because as you all know who've been here and who have been to our premiere before, Hudal is one of our moderators. So Hudal hangs out during our premieres, and he makes sure that we don't get anyone in the chat that is going to, you know, ruin the atmosphere. Let's put it that way, okay? Make it an unfriendly atmosphere, okay? And I wanted to point this out because since we're almost done with this video, all right, we're just about done, I wanted to point this out. And by this point in the video, we should have already had both of our winners win their ounce of silver. So to those two of you that have won your ounce of silver, congratulations. I will have to say this, all right, that if you are a winner and you do not live in the continental United States, if you do not live in the lower 48s, if you do not live in Alaska, and if you do not live in Hawaii, if you are one of the winners, I will end up sending you an Amazon gift card for $20. All right? So for those of you that have won, if you live in the continental US, please send me your information. Send it to my email address. My email address is in the description below. Okay, it's a Gmail address, so you'll be able to see it. All right, send me your information. I'm going to need your name and your address. Okay, just your name and your address, and I will mail out that ounce of silver to you sometime this week. More than likely, maybe my wife will have to go mail it out, depending on how easily I can get in and out of a vehicle. All right, with my arm in a sling. All right, because I've never had my arm in a sling before. Like I am going to. Well, you know what? I take that back. When I was a teenager, I broke a bone. I broke my left arm, and that was in a cast for a while. But this is going to be different. So, anyways, if you do live in the U.S., I will mail that out to you. You should be getting it. I will put a tracking number on it to make sure that you guys get it. If you do not live in the United States, okay, send me an email just saying hi, I am Hurao, or I am whoever it is that won, and I will be able to email you guys or send you guys an Amazon gift card for $20. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. I forgot to mention that in the beginning of the video, but that is very important. The reason I do that, ladies and gentlemen, is because for me to mail out a 1 ounce silver coin, let's say to Germany, all right, because I've done that before, it costs more to mail it out than what it costs to buy the coin, right? I'm not going to do that, okay? So for those of you that won, congratulations. And the reason I saved Hurao's comment for last is because I'm really giving away 3 ounces of silver today, but one of them is going to Hurao. And why is that? This is why. Because Hurao, not only is he one of my moderators, but Hurao has been here since the start. I think Hurao was probably in the top 10 or 20 first subscribers that I've had. So he's been here forever, all right? And I just want to tell you, Hood, that I truly appreciate you. I thank you very much for being here for this long and for being as active as you are in our community and for helping me out with moderating the content or the comments that come in. So thank you very much, buddy. All right, love you. And I already have your address. I will be sending you a silver coin as well. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the silver coins I am sending out are American Silver Eagles, and they are of the year 2018. So I paid a pretty good premium on these because I wanted to send you guys a very nice and new coin. All right, the coin shops don't have any 2019s yet, but I paid an extra premium on these because I wanted to send you guys out a very pretty coin. And these things are beautiful. I think they are. Right, so congratulations to all of you. You, Hoot, my friend, congratulations to you as well, because even though you didn't have to enter the contest, you yourself won a Silver Eagle coin. All right, so you guys will be getting those in the mail hopefully soon. I would appreciate it that when you get these coins in the mail, that you please just shoot me an email and let me know, hey, I got it. All right, just so that I know that you got it, and I can get rid of the tracking number with your address on it and stuff like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've had a good time today. Thank you very much for joining in. I appreciate all of you taking a few minutes. I don't even know how long this video's been going on for, but I'll find out here in a little bit. So I appreciate you guys taking a few minutes out of your day to come and spend it here with the community. Thank you, everyone. I'm not going to go over on how you guys can support the channel. I think I did that the last video. But thank you very much for your support as well. All right. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again. Oh, more than likely there will not be a video on Monday, and maybe not on Tuesday also. I think by Tuesday or Wednesday, I may be able to, you know, be good enough to put out a short video on one thing or another. It's just not going to be anything that's active as far as me cooking or canning or anything like that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so having said that, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.